And we're back watching a civil war between the left and the far left. But don't get it twisted. They still hate you. And we're back, Mike Cernovich at Cernovich.com, watching a couple of funny, amusing dynamics happen right now with the interwebs. So one dynamic is that the pro-war, neoliberal, neocon, there's no even such thing as a neocon anymore. They're all neoliberals now. Like Andrew Sullivan, he's all crying. They're all, they're all just neoliberals now. There's no distinction between neoliberal. There's no distinction now between between neoliberal and neoconservative. She just stood up to see you. They're all the same. So there's really no difference. So I just call them all neolibs. They all believe the same things, right? It's like, what's the difference between a neoliberal and neoconservative? They're all pro-abortion. They're all pro-war in Iraq. There's no difference. But the thing that I'm seeing is all these friend zone conservative Trump people are like, hell yeah. They're all like invested in Bari Weiss. It's like, she hates you. She hates you. She just signed a letter that said that the censorship was caused by Trump supporters, was caused by conservatives, right? They don't like you. So I'm watching all these. No, she hasn't eaten. So these Trump supporters are like standing for her like a bunch of betas in the friend zone. They don't like you. They're having a power struggle. And that's all this is, a power struggle. I said this a long time ago that this was going to happen. So during a little power struggle, the woke mobs who, when they were committing violence on us, how many times did Bari Weiss report about Andy Ngo getting physically attacked by Trump supporters? How many people who signed that letter, that open letter against cancel culture, how many of them reported on actual physical violence against Trump supporters that have been happening since 2015? I don't want to say zero, but not 10%, right? So they don't care. You're hitting the head with a brick because you're wearing a MAGA hat. They don't care, right? Get that through your heads. They don't care. They don't like you. They're having a civil war. Enjoy the civil war. I'm enjoying it. I'm having the time of my life. I'm having the time of my life watching them fight with each other because now they're leaving us alone for a change. It's like, whew, I can like take a deep breath for once in my life. And thanks for the good hair day. I cut my hair today. So enjoy the show, but don't act like you're allies with these people because you're just not. They'll throw you Yarzi or what's that guy's name? I'm blocking people who's talking about my mic. I don't need to hear anybody to talk about sound. Okay. So I don't know if anybody's ever heard of what's his name. I can't pronounce. I'm bad with names. You wouldn't know.
I do know.
But anyway, he had that nationalism conference that Peter Thiel spoke at. Will Chamberlain might know his name. But anyway, he wrote a pretty good rebuttal to that letter, right? Which was, they claim that they're against cancel culture, but they blame the right. Yoram Hazani, exactly. But they blame the right. They blame us for, well, not us. I mean, he's, Yoram, though, he banned Peter Brimelow from even buying a ticket. And, I can kind of understand why, because if Peter Brimelow had gone to the event, even as a paid attendee, da-da-da-da-da. But the point is, cancel culture is everywhere. Cancel culture is everywhere. But how do you get blamed if you're the right for this? Do you understand? Doesn't make any sense. How do you get blamed if you're on the right for this? Because they don't like you. So if you want to enjoy the Civil War, then enjoy the Civil War. I'm enjoying it. But don't, in your mind, think that these are going to be your friends, right? That they care about you, or that somehow this is going to bring some kind of unity to their country. They're having their power struggle. we're having, well, not we had a power struggle. We won it. Allie, Will, even though sometimes they don't get along, and I don't want to get in between all that, but we had our power struggle. We kicked out the freak shows, right? Jack Posobiec, we did this in 2017. In 2017, you know what we did? We found ourselves in with some people who were like, oh, we didn't realize these people were like that. You're out of here. We just kicked them out. We handled that. But the left didn't want to do that. The left could have evicted the far left, like we evicted these freak shows in 2017, but the far left was only going after us, right? So you're Bari and Andrew Sullivan and all these against cancel culture people, and you're like, oh, hell yeah, they're just trying to attack Trump supporters. We're all for that. They're killing Trump supporters. So we cleaned house, and now they're fighting, but the far left is going to win. Why is the far left going to win, and how can I predict that the far left is going to win? Right? How do we know the far left is going to win? Because, as Ayn Rand had said, the most extreme position on the left anyway is always going to win. And the center left, what does the center left even offer? They just want to go to war. That's the only way they differ from the far left, is the center left wants to go to war. The far left doesn't want to go to war. Statues, the center left is fine with tearing down statues. They just disagree at the margins. So you can tear down General Lee's statue and Stonewall Jackson. You can tear down those, but we're not quite sure about George Washington yet. But, maybe you can do George Washington next year, but we're not there yet. So there's no intellectual difference other than the war. Yeah, Nicola, Hannah, the 1619 Project was proved to be a historical hoax. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. They being the center left, they could have cleaned house. We did it. It was messy. It was not fun. It was not fun at all. So, but we did it. We had to do it. They could have done it. They chose not to. So the far left is won, and they're going to keep winning. At least as to that Civil War. And then the center left, I don't know what they're going to do. They're not relevant without a byline. That's the whole point. There's something I talked about the byline project, right? Or the byline problem. Who are these people if they don't have a byline? Would you ever read them? They don't have popular Twitter accounts. If you're a great writer and you're on Twitter and people read you, then you should have a byline at the papers, right? But it's the opposite. Take away the legitimacy of the New York Times. Nobody ever cared about Bari Weiss. Bari Weiss, the only reason she got relevant is she wrote a puff piece on the IDW, right? So it was like a transaction. She's like, look, I'm going to give you guys a glory hole piece in the New York Times about how you're all the coolest, and then you can have me on your podcast. But she went on Joe Rogan and she said, Tulsi Gabbard's a Assad toady. And then even Joe is like, what does toady even mean? And she's like, I don't know. A toady is like a word that I just threw around that I don't know. Tulsi Gabbard is a veteran, a woman of color and a veteran. And your assertion is that she's a toady because she supports the rights of Christians in Syria, right? Doesn't make any sense. But that's how it works. So you take away the legitimacy of the byline, these people are not relevant. Nobody's going to read them, right? That's why I always tell them, show their Twitter stats. All these, I'm left, I'm center left, I'm so compelling. Post your Twitter stats then. I'll post mine right now. I'll post mine anytime. And I'm, censored and shadow banned and canceled in every which way, right? I don't have that affirmative action that other people get. And, the media reach arounds and hey, come on, Joy Reid and say you hate Trump and say that Trump's a Nazi and the Orange Man is bad, all that stuff that they get. So if they're such hot shit, they're so great writers and everybody really cares, it's like, well, nobody's going to read you, though, unless you're at the publication. You're fungible. You can just replace that byline. Orange Man bad, Trump supporter Nazis, right-wing authoritarianism, Bolsonaro, Bibi's kind of bad too now. We don't like him anymore. That's it. That's all they have to offer. They don't have a compelling, and that's again why the center left is going to fail. The center left is going to fail because they don't have a principled or compelling argument for anything. Dave Rubin at least has an argument, which is he's the free speech guy. He's the Larry King guy. He's going to do the talk show stuff, and he's going to talk to anybody that he likes. And if he doesn't like you, he won't talk to you. So people on the far left will say, well, why don't you, debate so-and-so? And Dave is just like, because I don't like that person. That person's been rude to me. And it's like, how do you argue with the person? How do you argue with the guy who's a free speech guy? And he's like, yeah, I'll talk to anybody, but if you're a dickhead to me on Twitter, why would I talk to you? I don't like you. So that's the position. Whereas the rest of the center left is, well, we think that you should be able to no platform Bannon from a New Yorker book festival. So you should be able to deplatform the chief strategist for the President of the United States from New Yorker, but you won't deplatform David Frum, who lied about WMDs in Iraq to cause wars in the Middle East. You know what I'm saying? So, but they can't even go remotely in the weeds. They don't have any intellectual depth, no heft to any of their ideas. So they're just like, oh yeah, I believe in free speech, except for Trump people. Trump people are bad. Oh wait, but you're censoring me. Oh, and I also don't like Palestinian people. So we gotta ban Palestine. Bari, she got a bunch of people banned from because they liked Palestine, right? And I don't care about any of that stuff, but these are just objective truths. So they have no conceptual framework. They have none. They're not going to be like, let's debate Tucker Carlson. Well, they might for the views and just say, ooh, the orange man's bad. But let's see Sam Harris go toe-to-toe with Tucker Carlson. We saw Sam Harris try to go toe-to-toe with Scott Adams. That didn't work out for Sam. That's why you don't have prominent Trump supporters. That's why they deplatform. Because once you get them into the weeds, right? Once you get them into the weeds, they don't have anything to say. So, for example, when they go, Alex Jones should be banned. Why? Sandy Hook. Then my answer to that would be, well, Alex Jones apologized for Sandy Hook. I think that was a wrong thing that he did. He's apologized repeatedly. But if you want to ban him for Sandy Hook, how do you not about